before and all that kind of stuff. And I don't even know that I kind of realized, you know, you have friends, you have them in a certain compartment. Margaret was in whatever friend compartment I had her in. And then as I was working on my show, she had an amazing show, which I want her to tell you about. And I said, oh, we have this little thing in common. We understand the incredible healing and transformation that's possible from this particular type of endeavor. We must work together. So we did. So Margaret was actually on my team, my staff, for the Power of One, and asked her to come and share a little bit about what that process has been for her. So Margaret Echeverria.
This is what happens when your son dies. You see his face is blue and turned toward the back of his sleepy chair. You ask yourself, is he suffocating? Jesus Christ, is he dead? You pick up his 7-week-old body, and as you turn his face towards yours, his last breath of air leaves his lungs. How long were you asleep, you stupid woman? An hour? 2 hours? How could you have slept through this? What was that music you heard a few hours ago? Angels? And you know. You just know. You're screaming your husband's name. Surely he can fix it. You check yourself like you're taking inventory. You are the strongest member of this family. Keep it together. But your daughter, why is this happening to your daughter? Happening to your 7-year-old daughter? And your husband is so vulnerable to pain. Your son must come back to save your family from this pain. You watch the paramedics. They are judging you. Your mother is in the room and she knows, just like you, he's gone. This is happening. You had 51 days with your son and now he is gone. Where is God? Do you believe in God? Why? Why? Everyone is sobbing. A stone has been chained around your chest and you have been pushed into a very dark well and you are trying to grab something to pull you out, pulling at the clothing of your husband, your mother, the paramedics, grabbing your daughter so she does not fall in, but you know she's plummeting at the same speed right behind you down that well. You claw at your own chest to remove that stone. It will not move. You hear yourself saying, my baby, my baby. I wanted this baby for so long. I waited so long. And what you mean is I was good. I waited until I was grown up. When my daughter came with my husband, I was now ready. I made mistakes. My son was my chance to do it better. My son was the love of my life. We adore him. We cannot lose our Gavin. What flaw in my character has caused this? You watch the paramedics taken from your mother's house, past the Christmas tree, past the brand new Barbie dream house, out into the freezing cold, and you hear the faint beep of a heart monitor, and you ask, his heart? I hear his heart. And the paramedic says, no, that is the machine. Your son's heart is not beating on its own. And you wonder now what to pray for. Is his brain gone? Do you want a baby without a brain? No, you don't. You don't. That you don't. You wait only 5 minutes in the hospital waiting room, pulling hands full of leather on your husband's jacket, saying, it hurts so much, I hurt. And your husband is saying, I know, why is this happening? The doctor comes to get you, your son is there on the table, you take his hand, you say, Gavin, come back to us, baby, come back, we love you so much. And the nurse is screwing a large needle into your husband's shin, screwing it into the bone, and she injects something very powerful into the bone, right through that needle. You wait a few seconds hoping for some kind of miracle, praying that your boy can recover, and there is nothing. Nothing. And the doctor is declaring the time of death. Death. Your son is dead. He cannot feel your kisses. He cannot hear you cry. His body warms because it is so little as you hold him. And your breasts are leaking milk from a body that is no longer alive. A mouth that can no longer suck. He no longer needs you, but you need him. You need him so much. You love him, but love is not enough. You cannot control this. You cannot reverse this. You cannot go back 4 hours and hold him in the dawn of Christmas Day to make sure he is breathing. He has stopped. He has stopped forever. Gavin is missing from this world, and you cannot have him back, ever. And you fall down that well. You fall down. You take that inventory again. Yes, you can. Yes, you can stay awake and live. You you are a wife and a mother. You must get up out of this well. You must, but your body gives up for you. You don't know how you got down on the floor of this emergency room with your son on the cold steel table just above your head. Maybe this is your ultimate failure. Maybe this has beaten you. You want to die. You want to go be with him. But where is he? Where did he go really? How do you get there? And your husband says, stop it! We have to get out of here. He was beautiful. We can't remember him like this. We have to get out of here. And you don't know what to do. You don't know what happened. No one has an answer. And the questions quickly begin to feel like declarations of your guilt. Even the police are asking you questions, separating you from your husband, your mother. Social workers are descending upon your daughter like wolves. Your sister asks you over and over again, what did you do when you put him down? Tell me again, what did you do? Every question adds to the weight of that stone pulling you down that well. It's going to get so dark. It's already so dark. Is the devil going to take you? Is he? This is it. This is what happens when your son dies. It feels like you won't survive it. And it's a terrible feeling, but it's a lie. Death parts that curtain for a very short time. And we realize that we're only here for a little while. And we ask ourselves, what is it all for? After Gavin passed, I was standing in line at the bank. And there was this redheaded woman in front of me with her hair pinned up in this really whimsical way. And she was traveling a road less traveled, you know what I mean? And Buster was with me. And thank God for Buster, because you can tell your 7-year-old living daughter, hey, I'm not getting out of bed today, but Buster will have none of it. Buster got me out into the sun every day. So this woman in line at the bank with the pins and the curls and the red hair, she's really attracted to Buster. And without even asking, she just reaches down and begins to massage him. And he's a pit bull. She doesn't give a shit. She's just like kneading his sleek, muscled body. Oh! He's locked in here. I'm retired now, but I used to be a deep tissue massage therapist. You should work on this for him. Thanks. I will. Oh, if only we treated our children as well as we treat our pets. I do treat my children as well as I treat my pets. Oh, how many children do you have? And there it is. And I find myself telling her, I have one living daughter here on earth, and I have a baby boy in heaven. Oh, she says, Jesus, I see it. It's right here. And she reaches out, again, without asking, and she starts massaging my shoulder. She said, and I'm thinking, this bitch is really crazy, but this feels good. She says, how old was he? Was he baptized? I say, no, he was not baptized. Then I start to lower this shoulder that I didn't know was riding way too high on my body. Oh, you must find a priest. You must have him baptized post-mortem. Because if you don't, he's just around you, making you sad. He's just in limbo, waiting for you. He's waiting. I was having a good day. It was a Tuesday. The sun was shining. I was with my happy dog. I was at the bank. And she says this to a grieving mother. And I think, bless her heart. She thinks she's helping. She has no idea the horror that she's placing on me. She's just loving me. Because you see, when you're suffering the trauma of a loss like an infant death, people will tell you lies. Or they'll tell you rosy versions of the truth. Like, just get this priest to baptize your kid post-mortem, everything will be fine. And it comes loving you. Because they want you to feel better. They want to feel better too, but love goes both ways. So they come out with platitudes. He's in a better place now. No, he's not. His place is with his mommy and his daddy and his sister and his dog. They come out with advice. My first day back at work, this woman came up to me and she said, "Margaret, I lost my son too. What you have to do is just get up every day and take your antidepressants and live your life." And all I heard was, "Shut up! Stop indulging your grief in public and just stand strong against this." And I really tried. Finally, I found a bereavement group for parents who had lost children really early in their lives or really late in their gestation. And these people were telling their stories, and they allowed me to tell mine. And I did, to a point. There was one place where I hid the truth for a long time. The worst piece of advice that we got was given to us by a very dear friend of mine. "Don't," she said, "don't have that argument where you blame each other because you lose your marriage." So for months, we walked around blaming each other on the inside. I wondered if my husband Bobby was so exhausted that night that he just wasn't that careful when he put Gavin down to sleep that last time. Bobby wondered if I had talked him into having a baby way too late in my body's life. If I was just too old to have a healthy baby. If maybe I hadn't taken good care of myself during the gestational diabetes. Maybe my selfishness had killed our boy. Finally, one night, I could not take it anymore. We were arguing about whether or not to buy a car, and my heart was somewhere else. It was breaking. I hated Bobby. I hated him for not being more careful with Gavin. And I said, "You know what, Bobby? He was on his face. He was very nearly on his face. What did you do?" It was almost the worst moment of our lives all over again. We flew at each other, hands out, ready for battle. He threw a piece of pottery on the floor and it shattered. And I picked up a piece of that pottery, and when he came close to me, I sliced open his chest. 1, 2. We sobbed, rageful, violent sobs. He bled everywhere. He screamed at me, "I did not kill my son!" I sobbed and begged him to just admit that he made a mistake. We fought until dawn, and the blood literally covered the walls, the floor. I was terrified that it was all over. My marriage was over, and because Alyson was biologically Bobby's, I probably lost her too. Our shrink, who self-admittedly does not specialize in bereavement, said, "Hey guys, I don't deal with this level of crazy, so you can't do that again. And if you do, I have to send you to somebody else." So we were lovingly outcast. It wasn't until I went back to my bereavement group with those people who know how to live the new normal that I finally heard, "Oh, it's about time we told each other the truth." Then I knew I had to do something. So I worked on my new show, Finding Gavin, and countless people began to come out of the woodwork. Many were surviving siblings of babies who had died of SIDS. "We weren't allowed to speak of it," he said. "Don't upset Mother," we were told. I am Mother. I'm upset already. And many of these surviving siblings still grieved silently, ashamed, without comfort, and they spoke of their mothers. She was never the same. She just went crazy and never really came back. She wasn't allowed to talk about it, and she sat in a corner in the dark smoking cigarettes. No. Not me, not my husband, not my daughter. I banded together with friends committed to living out loud. And Monica Day gave me the opportunity to help others tell their stories in the Power of One program. And the lesson here, I think, is that life is finite. And the question is, how powerfully are you going to live it? How are you going to access that power? We're all surviving something. Is it going to make you bigger, or is it going to make you smaller? Gavin would have turned 5 years old tomorrow. My 7-year-old daughter is now 12. And recently, she started her menses. Now, Alyson is also functioning very highly on the autism spectrum. So some might take her inventory like this: neglected to the point of abandonment by her birth mother, surviving sibling of a SIDS death of her brother, emotionally disabled by autism, and growing up to be, of all things, a woman. Some 12-year-olds faced with that kind of challenge would choose to live a quiet, obscure life. Adding menses to Alyson's routine was really tough for her. She wanted to ignore it, push it away, pretend it wasn't happening, just wish it gone. She was in the shock of a big change in her life. And you know what I did? Instead of the truth, I gave her platitudes. It's a blessing. Menstruation means you're powerful. Instead of the truth, I gave her advice. Think of yourself as part of a club. You're a big girl now. Use the shout on those things right away. We live in a world where there is very little agreement for the truth, and you may think you've risen above that. But I'm here to tell you that rising is a constant effort. You need support. Your support is here. Now, hold on to your hats because it's about to get a little gross in here. Finally, last week, in fact, I realized as I was confronted with my own struggles with menses, 35 years into the journey with this sacred partner, mind you, that Alyson needed to hear the truth. So I said to Alyson, today I got my period. And I didn't have any pads at the office. So I went to the drugstore to get some. I got all kinds of things, toothpaste and toothbrush, conditioner for my hair, and I got back to my desk, and oh my God, I'd forgotten the pads. But that was okay. I grabbed 2 quarters. I went to the bathroom where the machine was. I put a quarter in the machine, and I turned the knob, and guess what popped out? A box with a mini pad. I don't know if you figured this out yet, but my pussy's not a mini. But that was all right, because I had taken 2 quarters because the machine tends to eat the quarters and not give you anything. So I put in another quarter, and I turned the knob, and out popped another mini pad. You see, Mommy knows how to make a pad train in her hands. So I went into the stall. And you know how those stalls are, I said to Alyson. Remember, there's like marble walls, and there's the receptacle between the walls, and there's nowhere to put anything. And she nodded, she remembered. So I pulled down my panties, and I placed the boxes in the crotch of my panties like they were waiting on a bridge. And I tinkled, and I grabbed some toilet paper, and I was wiping, and as I turned my body, one of the boxes flipped into the bowl. Alyson was just, her eyes were wide with like anticipation and delight. So I told her, I grabbed a bunch of more toilet paper, and I, to grab the box out of the bowl, and I got up to turn around, and the autoflush function started. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. So I'm